What up guys, it's Dragon Ball for Life here today and I'm back with another video. Now today's video we're going to be talking about the new Black Clover movie and what I thought about it, but also mainly about, the villain or villains, plan and what their purpose was in this film itself. Now this movie was quite long. It was around 2 hours long, which is, pretty special and unique because most, anime films that I have seen, mainly Dragon Ball films, have never been really that long. At most it's like around like an hour and 30 minutes. That's usually stretching it out. Most anime films are around like 45 to an hour, or like 45 minutes to an hour long, which isn't really that long, but this one was way longer. It was like 2 hours. So this is the longest anime film that I've ever seen personally. And usually when there's a longer film, the one main question is, was it worth the length? Like, was it reasonable for it to be this long? And if I'm being honest, I would say no, because I felt like they could have, shortened it a little bit. I felt like they could have wrapped it up a lot quicker. I felt like they were stretching it out in some parts unnecessarily. So I don't think it needed to be 2 hours long. I think it could have been like at most like an hour and 45 minutes long, maybe an hour and 30 minutes, because most of the other parts of the movie was just drawn out, and I felt like it wasn't enough. But from what I've heard from the Black Clover fans themselves, they didn't mind because they've been kind of dying for some new, Black Clover material. The only material that they get is from the manga, which is good, but like the anime, it hasn't made any new episodes. It's kind of been on a hiatus, like, Hunter x Hunter. So they've been kind of like feeding for something new material, like not live action, but anime format instead of manga format. So I understand that, especially as a Dragon Ball fan. We haven't had an anime since 2017 or 18 when Dragon Ball Super ended. So I can definitely, understand where the Black Clover fans are coming from. So yeah, but we have had our own films come out within that time frame, at least. So this was 2 hours long. I felt like it could have been shorter, but I know a lot of Black Clover fans themselves don't mind. Now, personally, for me, when it comes to Black Clover, I do like Black Clover. When I first watched it, I really enjoyed it. I felt like a lot of people looked down upon it. They're like, oh, it's just a ripoff and a clone of Naruto or whatever. And I could kind of see that, but personally, I felt like even though it had some of the similar beats, I also felt like it was original enough and unique enough in its own right, to the point where I didn't feel like it was a ripoff. I felt like it was just its own thing with just some, story beats from Naruto itself, which, I think My Hero Academia did that more than Black Clover did, if I'm being honest. And that's just a common thing when there's something as popular as Naruto. You're gonna have some, other animes have some stuff that are, the same as it. And you've seen this with other shows when it comes to Dragon Ball. Even Naruto was copying Dragon Ball, so it's not really fair to judge them based off of that. But after a while, I stopped watching it for whatever reason, and I did read the manga quite a bit. I got more ahead in the manga than the anime. And usually, for some reason, sometimes when I read the manga, it kind of ruins my experience when it comes to the anime, so I stopped. But I just stopped reading it at one point. I think at that time I was reading like 4 or 5 or 6 different mangas at once. So it was kind of getting hectic on like some of them, and I had to wait. I was like, let me wait a couple weeks. Then I forgot what chapters I was on, and then it was a big muddle and mess, and I was like, fuck it, I quit. So I haven't really seen that far into Black Clover. I think the furthest I've seen into it was the beginning of the Elf War, where the elves were possessing the bodies of the noble people. I did read it on ahead of that because of the manga, but from the anime, I think that's where I stopped, like the halfway point where the guy with the black mask came up on Black Bull's team, which I really like him. But luckily, this movie was around that middle point. It is not canon, so it doesn't really matter anyway. But this story is basically about the former Wizard King. Right before Julius, he basically went mad and wanted to destroy the Clover Kingdom and basically recreate it as new. And the people, obviously, the captains and stuff, like, hell no, we're not doing that. So Julius basically traps him in a time sphere and bubble, and it sends him into another dimension, and he's stuck in this time prison. And as this happens, Julius becomes the new Wizard King. So he was the former one, and he's able to break out the dimension with this sword that he had, this energy sword that he was using. And not only did he break out of it, but he resurrected 3 other previous Wizard Kings from like different eras and times. And these Wizard Kings also agree with him on his plan. And basically this movie is the rest of the Clover Kingdom, the captains and the subordinates and stuff, fighting against the three Wizard Kings, three previous Wizard Kings who are like top tier. There's the main guy who I forgot what his power was. I think he does like I forgot, like something with like energy. Oh yeah, he had the ability to with keys. He had like a thing where he could put keys into like the space, like in space, and he can steal like magic from, or like at least tap into magic from any different element. So anybody he's fighting against, he can use these keys to break into their magical elements. So if it's water, earth, wind, fire, liquid metal, this and that, whatever, steam, whatever magical ability they had, he can tap into it and steal their magic and, you know, steal their power. Kind of like what's his name? All for One from My Hero Academia, which I didn't really think of that on my own. There was this guy I went to college with who really loves Black Clover and told me to, you know, watch the film. So I did check it out, and I thought it was pretty interesting. And he did mention about that, and he talked about he's kind of like One for All. So I do see One for All within him. Yes, he has the ability to basically steal the magic by opening up a key and taking their power, which that's very powerful. Then we had a guy who can use ice magic, and then another one of like protection or like barrier magic, and then the other one, the lady has like a whole army she can resurrect and stuff. So they were the big threat. They were fighting, and then they had the whole back and forth between them. And the Wizard King, I forgot what his name was. It started with B. I forgot. But he basically, he was kind of like Asta, and what his plan was pretty much was he wanted to use the power of the sword to basically destroy the land. He wanted to wipe out the Clover Kingdom, basically destroy it. But when he destroys it, he could use the sword to resurrect people, like how he did with the Wizard Kings, because it has their energy and traps them in there. So he wanted to destroy the city, like the nation or whatever as a whole, because he was sick and tired of the nation being, you know, evil and corrupt. There's the horrible nobles, there's the, you know, the society of hierarchy, and what's that term called that's used a lot in politics? It's like for economics. I forgot. I'll probably remember later on. I know what it is. It's just sometimes my mind gets a little fuzzy. But yeah. A classist, that's what I mean. So he had all those problems, and we see this theme running throughout, you know, the Black Clover story about it, especially with Asta, especially at this point where Asta was pretty much kicked out of the Clover Kingdom because he has the devil in him, and they basically pinned all the bad shit that happened in the events like of the elves and stuff on him, which is, I think, is ridiculous as fuck. So he got in trouble for that, and he was punished for it, and he was basically used as the scapegoat for them. And as the king comes back, he's like, his plan before then, 10 years ago when he was trapped, and now is he wants to wipe out the nation, then use the sword to revive all the good people, and only the good people that he chooses, and all the bad people he would let them just stay dead, because he really hates the, you know, the system and the classist system that is built up in the society. And he tries to connect with Asta quite a bit. He's like, you and me are the same, you know, I have the same goal, I just want peace, I want a better world, but they're not going to change. They literally kicked you out, why the hell are you fighting me? You should join me. And he was very adamant about it too. He didn't want to hurt Asta, he didn't even want to kill him. He had a chance to, but he just wanted Asta to join him because he saw so much of him in Asta, and he said, like, we're exactly the same. And then, you know, Asta doing the whole hero thing, we're not the same at all. And I was like, you're literally the fucking same dude. You don't have to like him. You don't even have to agree with his opinion or fully say that you're 100% like him. But to say you're not like him at all, come on, that's bullshit. But that was basically their main stuff, and then they had back and forth fight. Asta basically fought in one-on-one, and the rest fought like the other guys. The movie looked nice. It had fun stuff, pretty cool beats. But as a whole, if I'm being honest, the movie didn't really blow me away. From what I've seen from, like, you know, Mugen Train and Dragon Ball Super Broly and you know, Superhero, even though I don't like Broly, I would still give it credit for how it looks, because those three films are absolutely stunning. They're beautiful. Mugen Train looked really good. It even looked good in when they redid in the anime, which I felt like it was pointless to do, but they did it anyway. But the anime itself, the animation is like movie tier anyway. So I think at this point maybe I'm just a little spoiled by really top notch and top quality, like you know, anime. So for me, seeing this film, it did look nice, but I already saw crazy shit happening in Broly, Dragon Ball Superheroes, and in Demon Slayer. Not only in the movie but in the series, I've seen some crazy animation and shots and stuff. and this one just didn't do for me. I think it wasn't that crazy. The story wasn't too much for wasn't that impressive for me either. I don't hate the story. I just think it was. I think the movie was kind of meh. If I'm being honest, I don't want to be rude, but I'm being honest. It was kind of meh for me. I didn't hate this film. I just felt like it wasn't as great as it could have been. There was better movies. Even though My Hero Academia movies, even though I don't like My Hero Academia in general anymore, I used to like it like season 1, 2, maybe even 3. But I don't like it anymore. I can still give credit to the 2 films that they dropped out. Those were beautiful movies. I thought they were really great. But this movie just, I feel like at this point, it just doesn't come to par compared to those. But the main thing I do want to talk about is the villains, like, and I wouldn't say he's a villain or even the rest of the Wizard Kings, because they weren't evil. They just had a different way of handling it. Asta and them was like, no, we need to just do it through diplomacy and, like through a civil means and just, talking and just changing the system in a regular matter. Whereas them, they took the more extreme approach of, let's just wipe out everything and then just, resurrect those who are not evil. And the people that are fighting against the Wizard Kings, obviously Julius, Asta, and the rest of the captains, they obviously were against him and very adamantly. And Noel and all of them, they're like, well, we can't just do that to these people. We don't have the right to choose and stuff like that. And that was their biggest argument. But for me personally, I sided way more with the Wizard Kings because, yes, I get their point, but the Wizard Kings are right. Your kingdom is full of complete scumbag douchebags. Even with all the work you guys done, even with Asta proving himself, they still show their disgusting side. This guy did nothing wrong. All he had was the devil in him, but that's not even his fault. And these fuckers were like, you know what? Screw this guy. Let's pin it all on him, use him as a scapegoat, not even let him argue his own defense. The moment you argue his defense, like, no, fuck you. You're not allowed to do that. We're going to do the Salem witch trials, even though we all have magic. They wouldn't let him speak his mind, and they basically already confirmed that he's going to be screwed. So it's like, we see how fucked up and corrupt they are. I can't really have sympathy for you guys or be on your side when you're trying to defend them and say, we can change it through diplomatic means. Like, you guys are doing the slowest way where most of these people are not going to change. It's just stupid. And some might say there's this extreme, but let's be honest. Is it really that bad? They're not killing off everybody. Yes, they're killing them off at first, but they're going to bring them back anyway. Is that really that bad? They're going to bring back only the good and the bad stay dead. Oh my god, that's horrible. They're going to change it for better. And if I'm being honest, this is one of the points that I didn't really like about the movie is it's okay to have the bad guys or the, even though I don't consider them bad guys, I guess you can consider them as just the opposition in this story. Even if you want to make the guys that they're going against, have a reasonable cause on why they're doing something, at least have the heroes or the main characters' reason be more stronger and more soundproof than other person's. The other people, like the enemies, can have a reasonable argument, but you need to have the main characters have a better reasonable argument that outweighs theirs. But for me personally, I felt like theirs was stupid. It was just like, we have to do it with time. We just have to, we just have to wait. Whereas their one is like, we could do it quickly and we just get rid of bad people. And I know some of you guys will say, well, this might be an argument in real life, like, do we just, kill off just criminals because they're bad and stuff, and just, like let innocent people live but kill off bad people? And I would say 100% yes. If you've seen my video on, like Yagami, I agreed with him. I don't agree with him fully because killing cops wasn't cool, but I do agree with him that killing criminals is not that bad, and I don't think it should be viewed as that bad. Some people might not think that way, but for me personally, I think it's okay. It's not a problem to me, if I'm being honest. Yeah. So I agree with that. So if I was okay with Light, who is even worse, I'm gonna be okay with them because they're bringing back the good people at least. And if I'm being honest, it's kind of ironic to me because when I think about Dragon Ball, and I look at through Dragon Ball, I was like, Dragon Ball technically did this, and none of us had a problem or batted an eye. So why is it a big problem now? And you guys are probably wondering, what do you mean? If you guys remember in the Buu saga, when Buu destroyed the Earth, Piccolo told him to use the Dragon Balls to revive everybody on Earth, right? Oh no, not Piccolo. I don't know. I thought Piccolo. Vegeta. He told them to he was like, hey Dende, get Purunga and tell him to revive everybody that died, but only revive the good ones. And then Goku's like, oh, why would you do that? Why not just say revive everybody? He's like, you idiot. If we do, we're gonna revive the bad people that made Boo go crazy and then create evil Boo and stuff like that. He's like, we don't want stuff like that to happen again. So their wish was basically to resurrect or bring back everybody that died from Boo's assaults, except for the evil people. So basically, they did the same thing that is happening in this movie, except just a little bit different way. In the movie, he is directly the one killing them off, but also on a small scale, and then he's himself bringing them back. Whereas in that one, Boo was the one who destroyed it. They didn't do that. He did that. But still, the wish is to bring back certain people, and that's only the good people. And it's on a much larger scale as a whole planetary level, whereas that one's just on a nationality level. So it's way bigger, but us as Dragon Ball fans didn't bat an eye. So for me, when I saw that, I'm like, what's the problem? That happened in Dragon Ball. Nobody said shit. When Vegeta suggested it, everyone's like, okay, whatever. Goku's just like, well, you could do it a different way. He's like, you idiot. He just explained to him. He's like, okay, whatever. So it's kind of ironic to me because in this movie, the whole main the antagonist is whole thing was, let's just wipe these guys out and then just bring back the good, and you can't just pick and choose. And then you see Dragon Ball, they did that exact thing and nobody batted an eye. It was not even a big thing. That was the main thing of this movie. That was not even hinted. That was not even taken at all into consideration in Dragon Ball. And it was on a planetary level. So if I saw that in Dragon Ball and I was okay with it, in this movie I don't really have that much of a problem. So for me personally, I felt like Asta and the rest of the Clover Kingdom were overreacting. I get it. You can make the argument of who allows you to be the judge of these lives and judge, jury, and executioner and stuff like that. But it's really, is it that serious? You guys are really gonna fight them? You guys could have all gotten killed simply for these assholes. Screw them. Like I said, I've already seen Dragon Ball where that happened when the Buu Saga, so technically the Buu Saga already did that, and I didn't have a problem then, so I'm definitely not going to have a problem now. It's just some scumbag, racist guys who have this classist mindset that think that just because you're not a noble or you're this level of magical power, that, sorry that you're hearing noises, that's crack off the bed I'm sitting on, that if you don't have that, that you deserve to be looked down upon and mistreated and abused and stuff like that. It's why the fuck are we protecting these guys so badly once again? But yeah, like I said, that kind of ruined the movie for me because it's okay to agree with antagonists, right? But you should still mostly agree with the main characters, the heroes. The heroes should be having a stronger point. That yes, I get your point, but that's not the right way to do it. But in my eyes, I'm their way is actually the better point and better way to do it. So your defense is stupid. So when I see Austin and then when I'm good job, keeping the system. You're keeping the oppressive system that you guys complain about all the fucking time. They say it's a big deal. And yes, you can make changes, but it's they could have made the changes easier. And like I said, I've seen it happen in Dragon Ball, that stuff, so I was it's not that big of a deal, to be honest. I mean, Vegeta and them wished back all the people that died and they were good people that brought back and the bad people that didn't. It didn't really do anything negative. Though, later on, they're still crying because if you see in, in Dragon Ball Super and stuff like that, they're still bad people. So I guess, even if you wipe out all the evil people in the world and leave only the good, there's going to be evil people coming back into the world anyway. So it's pretty much pointless no matter what. But yeah, I just feel like it wasn't that big of a deal. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed and stay tuned for next time.